Hey, what's up? Yin here, and this is my review for the Moondrop LAN Single Dynamic Driver IEM. Now, before I begin, I'd like to thank Shenzhen Audio for sending this to me and making this video possible. But guys, rest assured that whatever I say in this video is my own opinion. This video is not scripted, and Shenzhen Audio will be watching this video together with you guys. Alright, so Moondrop LAN, this is currently retailing for $40 US, and for those of you who are interested, do check out the unaffiliated link in the description below. Alright, so as usual in this video, I'll go through the accessories, the fit and comfort, the design and build quality, and of course I'll share with you guys my sound impression of these IEMs. Don't worry, this video will be timestamped, so for those of you who wish to skip around, please feel free to do so. Alright, so let's start off with the accessories. Comes in a very nice box like this. In fact, a little bit overdone, but in front you'll see a picture of an anime girl, and she's holding a bunch of flowers, and these flowers are orchids, and in Chinese the name for orchids is Lan Hua. That's the reason why this IEM is called Lan. Okay, at the back you'll find some schematic breakdown of the IEM, graph and specifications. So let's quickly go through that specifications. As I mentioned, this is a single dynamic driver, so this is a 10mm dual cavity high performance dynamic driver. The diaphragm is a beryllium plated dome composite diaphragm. The frequency response is 15 to 37,000 Hertz, and the impedance is 32 ohms, and sensitivity is 120 dB. Alright, okay, so that's the box. Let's find out what's inside. Okay, so inside you'll find some paperwork, of course, postcards, QC check, instructions, and all that normal stuff. Okay, and you get a pouch, right? So this is a fabric pouch, and you can put your IM inside. Kind of small and petite little pouch, a leather pouch, and it's kind of, yeah, it prevents your IM from being scratched from your keys and your coins. Okay, yeah, pretty functional, normal pouch. Doesn't really prevent it from being set on, but yeah. Then ear tips. So these are the provided ear tips, no spring tips unfortunately, but these are normal ear tips, yeah, and silicone ear tips. So I've used them, and I'm okay with them, but I rather use my own ear tips. Okay, and this is the cable, right? So very nice cable with a Velcro strap organizer, and the cable is a single core cable, right? Color coded, and is, yeah, single braided kind of thing. It's not even braided, yeah. It doesn't really tangle, and it's got good form, good body, so pretty okay cable. The headphone jack is angled, 3.5 headphone jack. It's got a Y splitter, okay, no chin slider, and the ear hooks are normal, pretty okay, not stiff, right, but it's not too soft as well, so somewhere in the middle. 2-pin connector, okay, and yeah, so cable is pretty okay for the price that it's asking for, is $40. Now let's take a look at the IEM itself. So this is the shell, okay. The faceplate is, in fact, the entire shell is made of steel, right? Very nice, and it feels very hefty. It's got the heft to it. It's not heavy, but it's hefty. It's a solid block of steel, and the faceplate is very simply done. There's no design or anything like that. It's just got a picture of or anagram of the orchid, right, which is Lan. Okay, inner shell is pretty good. It's got some kind of a step here, okay, and a pretty small form factor type of IEM. Okay, nozzle is part of the entire shell itself, and is normal size, not too wide and not too narrow. Okay, and it's got metal filter inside, and yeah, it's pretty okay, pretty nice design. Now let's talk about the fit and comfort. So these fit me very well, right? They give me a very good fit. The nozzle is not too long, not too short. The size of the IEM is just nice, not too big, not too small, and there isn't any odd shape or sharp corners, so I have no problems wearing these the entire day. Doesn't give me any physical fatigue. So yeah, very comfortable to wear. The seal that it gives me from the stock tips are okay, but as I mentioned earlier, I would rather use my own ear tips. Okay. Right, so now let's talk about the sound. So let me just show you guys the graph. Alright, so this is the graph for the Moondrop LAN, but before I talk about the graph, let's first talk about the technicalities of this. And just a reminder, this is $40. So at $40, the price to performance ratio is actually pretty good. It does perform above its price point, and it sounds pretty good, right? So that's for the technicalities. Soundstage on this is wide to the side. Not a very wide stage, but it's wide enough, right? It's got good depth as well and height. The sound separation is also pretty good, and the imaging is excellent. So I can identify where my instruments are, where they're coming from, and it's pretty spaced out, right? It's got good layout of the instruments and pretty natural layout as well. I wouldn't say it's a very open soundstage, but is not a closed soundstage as well, so pretty average. For the detail retrieval on this is actually pretty good. As you can see from the graph, this is actually quite a balanced tuning, so the details being retrieved from this IM is pretty good. Yeah, the nuances of sound can be picked up, and micro details are also pretty good on these IMs. Okay, resolution. Right, so resolution, as I mentioned, it does perform above its price point, which is $40. So it's a very resolving IM for the price that it's asking for. So yeah, pretty nice, and of course the quality of the IM does add value to it. So yeah, very good sounding IM. Alright, the tone and timbre for this. So for the tone is more of a natural, normal note weight is not too heavy, not too light, so pretty balanced note weight type of tone. The timbre is natural, okay, not so neutral or warm. It's got a hint of warm, but it's not that warm, okay, so it's somewhere in the middle. So pretty okay, natural sounding IM. Now let's talk about the sound, right? So as I mentioned, this is quite a balanced tuning. In fact, this tuning is very familiar to me, and is actually very similar to 7 Hertz, the Cell Notes 0, which I have it right here with me. So I'm going to compare this IM later in the video, so please stick around if you want to watch that. But now let's focus on this LANs. Alright, so basically the bass is okay. I mean, the sub bass, actually the extension of the sub bass is pretty good. I am pretty engaging sub bass. The rumble is very good. It extends pretty well, and then it's got, as you can see, right, even at the tail end here of the 20 Hertz, it does go upwards, so I can actually feel the rumble. I can't really hear it, but I can feel the rumble, so it's a very good extension for the rumble. For mid bass is thumpy, though it's not the most thumpy mid bass. Okay, it does have a bit of presence, but based on this tuning and based on the level of the mid bass as compared to the rest of the frequency, the mid bass is sufficient, right? The impact is sufficient, the punch is sufficient, pretty well balanced type of mid bass, and it's not a really fast mid bass, but it's a pretty clean mid bass. Okay, so that's for the mid bass. For the mids, well, mids is actually pretty good, right? Even though, as you can see, it's a bit of recessed, but it's not very recessed as compared to other IMs that I've tried. So mids for instruments like the pianos and the violins, trumpets, flutes, they sound clear and present, and a bit of that warmth to that presence as well. And yeah, the details on these are actually pretty good, as I mentioned. So yeah, very nice presentation of the instruments. For vocals, male vocals and female vocals, they both sound natural. It's got a bit of warmth as well. pretty engaging, more engaging to me for the male vocals. Female vocals, they tend to sound a little bit laid back, a bit darkish to me. Energy is there, the bite is there, but brightness is a bit dark to me. And yeah, the sparkle is okay. I mean, I'm looking for the sparkle for female vocals, but occasionally on certain tracks I get that, but for most tracks, yeah, it's a bit of a laid back type of presentation to me for female vocals, right? Now let's talk about treble. So treble is well tuned, all right, and very safe tuned treble. So there's nothing much I can fault on this treble because it's pretty harmonious. The gain to the peanut gain to the treble is actually pretty smooth, right, and very gradual, very close to the Harman curve as well. So no shoutiness or any harshness to the gain. And yeah, after that it actually trails off. So it's not a very bright, as I mentioned, not very bright sounding treble, but it's okay. It's still very bitey and present type of treble. Okay, as you can see in terms of the ratio, treble to the bass is almost at the same level. So it's not a very lacking, or it's not a very prominent treble. Okay, so presence is not a very bright, as I mentioned. It's a bit of a darkish treble, but yeah, I find that it's okay. I am not complaining about this darkish treble. As long as it's not sibilant, it's not shouty, I'm fine. Okay. Mid bass is mid treble is also okay. As you can see, the 8K region is not peaky at all. It does not give me a very sharp or sibilant presentation for the treble. So no issues with the mid treble, and the air of the treble, it rolls off pretty naturally. It's a good roll off, and good air. So treble on this actually sounds pretty good, right? Not the best, of course, and of course not the worst, but it's a very safe tuning for the treble. So overall, I find that this IM is a very versatile IM and pretty balanced tuning, and it's actually pretty good for most genre of music. So I've listened to this on most of my gear, and it's pretty easy to drive as well. I've used it on my M15 Hi-B R5, R3, Hip Deck 2, Zen Deck, and my Android phone, and my iPad, of course. And the songs the usual songs that I listen to is my Apple Music, the IEM test songs, and they all sound pretty good on this, and it can handle most genre of music without any issues. As I said, this is actually a pretty safe tuning for the treble and for the bass as well. You're not gonna expect a very niche tuning, for example, extra bass for the bass heads. This is not really for bass heads. It's not also for treble heads. So don't expect too much for that. It's not a niche tuning. It's more of a general tuning, and you can play pop, hip hop, trance. Not so much trance, techno, and heavy metal, because the punch is a little bit lacking for bass heads. And so if you want a lot of bass, so this is definitely not the IM for you. But if you want something balanced, right, you want to hear the details, not too much of the details, but you still want to hear your details, then this bass is just nice. Okay, and then for treble as well, this is again not bright, but it's also not dark, so it's somewhere in between. So yeah, it is a pretty versatile IM at $40. Okay, so do I recommend this? Yeah, definitely. If you have a playlist that has got mixed genre of music, and you just want to have one IM that can play it all safely, whereby you won't feel any awkwardness or any uncomfortable situation, then this is the IM to go for. Okay. Alright, so that's my overall review for this. Now let's compare it with the Cell Note 0, which I have right here. And let's open up the graph of the Cell Note 0, which I also have. And let's compare that. and this is the Mecha version, which is actually the same as the original. So yeah, so as you can see, the graph is almost similar, right? The only difference is the bass and the gain, the peanut gain, and the treble, right? So these three areas. But before I talk about the sound, let's first talk about technicalities on this. So in terms of technicalities and price to performance, again, you know, this Zero is $20, right? So this is $20, and it does produce much above its price point. Okay, so very affordable, value for money IM. But for the LAN, it's the same thing. So it's $40, but it's got an upgraded shell. It's metal as compared to the Cellno Zero. Very well built, very quality design, and the driver in here is beryllium, right? In compared to titanium on the Zero. So in terms of the quality and the overall package, right, this has got a better delivery for that issue, right? So in terms of $40, yeah, you can say that this is worth that money if you care about the metal shell and of course the overall quality of the IEM, and of course the driver as well. So this driver does produce a cleaner sound as compared to the Zero. Okay, now let's talk about the sound signature. So in terms of bass, right, so Zero does have a cleaner bass in terms of sub bass, but it's not as extended as the LAN, right? As you can see here, the LAN has got a bit more extension to the sub bass, and I can't hear it, but I can feel a more rumbly sub bass as compared to the Zero. Okay, so that's for the LAN. And then for the peanut gain, so the LAN has got a more bitey treble, and it's got more energy in terms of the presentation of the treble, cymbal strikes, hi-hats, and all that. They sound a bit more forward, okay, to me. It's not by a lot, but yeah, I can hear a bit of that difference. Okay, in terms of brightness, they're all about the same, and the air, I would say the roll off for the Zero is a bit earlier as compared to the LAN, but that's just a very minor difference. I don't hear I need to really listen very carefully to hear a difference, but it's a very minor difference in terms of the air of the treble for this two. Okay, so I would say for this two in comparison, okay, obviously the LAN has got a better quality in terms of the driver and the shell, but in terms of sound performance, in terms of tuning, they both sound almost similar. It's just that the LAN has got a bit more extension in the sub bass. Okay, and that's about it. In terms of that, I think this two is very comparable, and in terms of price to performance, they both do well in my books. Okay, alright, so that's my overall review and comparison with the Cellno Zero, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video and also learn something from this video. And if you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and also please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Alright, so that's it for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day ahead, and I'll see you again in my next video. Cheers.